Are you a renter? If so, you're in good company because 500,000 households in Houston rent an apartment. Hi, and welcome to our new video series designed to help you find the perfect apartment. Before we get started, you may be wondering who I am and why I'm qualified to give apartment rental advice. My name is Jack, and over the years, I've owned a lot of apartment complexes. I've watched my tenants grow up, graduate college, get married, and start families. With over 50,000 tenants living on my properties over the last 30 years, my experience can help you find the right apartment. I believe I can also help you avoid the common mistakes that renters make when deciding which apartment to rent. Okay, let's dive right into the most common mistake that I see renters make every day. They believe that if they rent an apartment in a nicer neighborhood, they will enjoy a lower crime rate at that apartment complex. Unfortunately, that is often not the case. I can give you several examples to prove this point. Just last week, and very sadly, a 65-year-old woman was carjacked and murdered at a very nice apartment complex on Yorkchester Drive in a good Memorial neighborhood. Another example, a couple of weeks ago, 50 cars were broken into in one night at a very nice apartment complex in Houston. And a third example, there is an online review of a very upscale apartment complex on the Katy Freeway where the reviewer posted a picture of his car on blocks with all four wheels gone. You can do an online search of the above cases and read more about these crimes. Sadly, I can give you many more examples just like the three I just gave you. What is interesting to note is all three of these apartment complexes had controlled access gates, but based on my decades of experience, I can assure you that most criminals laugh at those gates. Why are these gates next to useless? Well, to begin with, these gates often break down, and until they're fixed, any criminal can drive right in. Second, even if the gates are working, all a criminal has to do is simply follow another car in. So controlled access gates might look good, but they almost never actually control access. So if controlled access gates don't actually control access, what's a better solution? In my decades as a landlord, I have only found one solution that actually prevents criminals from entering an apartment complex, and that solution has two parts. First, the property should have an 8-foot tall fence around it. Unfortunately, a 6-foot fence isn't tall enough. Second, the property should have a guardhouse staffed by an actual person 24/7, 365. And that guardhouse attendant must be trained to carefully check all incoming traffic and only allow people in if they belong on the property. There are very few properties in Houston that have tall fencing and a guardhouse that is staffed 24/7, 365. But there is one in the Spring Branch Memorial area called Westview Forest Apartments. Westview Forest has done other things that also help lower the risk of crime. For example, they have installed 50 high-resolution video cameras all around the property, and they have courtesy officers patrolling the property every night. Finally, they screen their new residents very carefully so they don't have criminals moving in. Since the guardhouse and the cameras were installed several years ago, Westview Forest residents have enjoyed almost no crime at the property, a fact that is easily checked by reading the property's online reviews. Another common mistake I see renters make when looking for an apartment is that they only ask how much their rent is going to be, but they don't ask about other housing bills they're going to have to pay, such as how much the electric and water are likely to cost, or if there are other fees such as pet rent, parking fees, resort fees, etc. It's important to clarify all the costs involved in renting the apartment to avoid any surprise expenses. A poorly maintained property may have little to no insulation in the walls or the roof, and therefore renting there will cost you a fortune in electricity when you run your AC or heater, especially if your apartment is on the second floor. Ask if the appliances are Energy Star rated, because older appliances will also run up your electricity bill. Ask the leasing staff if they have copies of resident electric bills, especially ones from July or August. This information will help you avoid a huge electric bill in Houston's hottest months. Things like trash and water costs vary from complex to complex. Some properties charge you for trash collection, while others don't. And water costs vary a lot, so ask the leasing agent how much water you will be billed. The state of Texas provides a specific way to charge water bills, but I have found that many apartment complexes do not follow the law and charge a lot more for water than they're supposed to. Here is a graphic that explains this idea visually, assuming two people are renting a one-bedroom apartment. As you can see, if you only ask about rent, you would think that apartment complex number 2 is going to save you $100 a month, $850 worth of rent versus $950. But when you add all the housing costs, it turns out the complex number 2 is not going to save you a dime. And in fact, it's actually going to cost you $60 a month more, $1,120 versus $1,060. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has been helpful to you. I will see you again in my next video, but until then, happy apartment hunting!